All right. In actual fact, somewhere May 2015, I had a job to actually head a microfinance institution, and indeed it was a very good job. And to be honest with you, my salary was 4 times what I was receiving in my previous company, and so it was so good for me. So things were really good. And somewhere in 2017, I looked for the opportunity to continue with my studies, to study an MBA program, because at that time I had an ambition of becoming a lecturer. And so I went online and searched for some of the UK-based colleges, and I had one. And so I registered and started my program. Things were really good for me, and I must be honest. And so I was able to pay off the fees, and actually I started with my studies. And just after I have paid, some months after I have paid my fees, I was in the office one evening when I had a call from one of my sisters, and the message was shocking, simple, straightforward, but very shocking. That my father's house at Kede has been raised down by fire. And at the background of the call, I could hear a lot of noise on our compound. People were talking and a whole lot of things. So I became very sad for the rest of the day. I started thinking about it. What it means is that now the entire family has become homeless. Where do we sleep? So I slept over the night, and I was thinking. So I came out with an idea that, well, in that case, at least, since what I'm doing and the salary is good, why not coming up with, at least within my means, a 2-bedroom house, so that at least it can accommodate the family for some time, until probably the next thing is done. Now, some few days after this incident, I had a call from a cousin, my father's grandson, asking me whether I've heard about the fire, the destruction of the house. And I said yes. And so he asked me what I was going to do about it. And I said I've not, even though I know I was lying, but I've not thought about it. But then he sounded a warning to me. Now, if you know you want to do something about this, bro, be careful. Because the spiritism in this family is too high. I brushed it off because, my position with Western orientation, that really spirits don't exist. And so I brushed this thing off, and I totally disregarded his statement. So what I did is simply to download a 2-bedroom self-contained architectural design, and went to Kede, show it to some masons. We agreed on the price and all those things, and we started actually the building. To be honest with you, the very month that the house got to the roofing level, that was the very month I also lost my job. The company, the microfinance company, was in financial crisis. And so now we're all paid off. And at that time I was actually pursuing my MBA program. So I thought it would be easier now for me to actually move ahead. But Just after that incident, something strange happened. Now, the extent of spirit pressing me in my sleep actually increased. It actually increased to a higher level. And this time it took a different dimension. Very, very serious one. What dimension did it take? Now, at night time, whilst I was asleep in the middle of the night, I realized there was somebody coming from the top of the ceiling who landed in my room in spirit form. Now, this person had a light on the forehead and then a smoke on the face to actually hide his identity. It looked like something like a smoke to hide her identity, sorry. But then the light reflecting on the body actually helped me to realize who that person was. But you know, this is a spiritual issue, so you cannot attack anybody. Anytime I saw this person in my sleep, I struggled to wake up. But then I was always pushed down and conquered by that person. It was indeed a tragedy. And you know, every morning, every night after this attack, I experienced weakness in my body. And I started thinking about it. I started thinking about all these issues. And, you know, it was indeed a hard time for me. Then, honestly, during that same period, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was running through a very thick forest, crying. And I was making noise like, That was the kind of noise I was doing in the dream, running through a thick forest. Then all of a sudden, I saw my dead father in the forest. Standing on the left side was my dead brother, and on the right side was my dead sister. So the question my father asked me was very simple. Kwabna, what are you coming to do here? It is not time for you to come here. Come on, get back. So my father actually instructed me to go back. And so I turned running and still making that noise. And so when it turned out like I was running towards home, now I wake up from my dream. I thought about the dream and I realized that something mystery or mysterious is about to happen to me. And then again, another thing I also realized was that at midnight, around 12, between 12 and 1, there is a bird that comes around my window moving every night. I really became scared. Actually, you know, I had no belief about spiritism. You understand? Because per academic presentation, you realize that now academicians actually use 3 senses in actually scanning the environment. And that is what? A sense of what? Touch or feeling. Now taste, smelling, hearing, and vision. And so anything which goes beyond this is actually not accepted. And so I had that orientation and never believed in spiritism. But these were the serious things that were happening to me. Spirit coming into my room, attack pressing me down every night. And so things were messed up. And I remember 1st January 2020, I was sitting in my house. Around 6:48, I called a brother in Kumasi. You know, that is my ancestral home. And I was discussing my issue with him and telling him that from the look of things, I think my unemployment situation goes beyond something ordinary. And therefore, I'm becoming scared. And look and behold, after I had finished talking to my brother, I look at the time and it was 6:48. Just in front of me, about 2-3 meters away, I saw a bird suspending in the air. Whether the bird was listening to conversation or whatever I was doing, indeed, I became scared and I started shouting. And surprisingly, the bird turned and went away. And so, it was something mystery. That was the first time I was experiencing this. And so, you know what I did? I went online and decided to contact astrologers about my future. Because it's like I became so scared. So I decided to contact astrologers about my future and know what is happening to me. And so they requested for my date of birth, my email address, my name. I provided them with all these details. And then in those time, now they came out with my information. Now they gave me 3 ranges of age, which I was going to die. And indeed, the first one had already passed, and the second one was left with 1 year. And the intensity of the spiritual attack has gone up. And actually, I became scared. And then they also added one thing, which they said, Samuel, now you are unable to progress in life all because of negative forces. There are a lot of negative forces in your life. At that time, I didn't even understand what they meant by negative forces. You understand? Because I know about witchcraft, but Africa, we talk about witchcraft, but not negative forces. But probably that was a different terminology which was coming from them. And so I did not know where to go. I became scared. And so, after my exams, I posted my thesis and everything, and I was done with my MBA program. And so I decided to look for a spiritual solution. And indeed, as somebody with Austin orientation, really, I started with Christianity and with my beliefs and concepts about Christianity. Yes, I started with it. And so I traveled. A lady actually told me about her pastor in the eastern part of the country. And so I decided to actually visit the pastor. I went to the pastor, and then we he asked me about my problems and those things, and I narrated my story to him. He did some rituals, and then he gave me a Vortic bottle containing some water. And then he gave me salt, and then asked me, he gave me salt. You understand? He gave me salt.